Okay, so I'm just remaking this intro because I just wanted to make the resolution a bit bigger for you guys to see. Okay, so this is the zip file, and we only need these files here. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and I've plonked them in this folder here. So these ones are, it's starter about book ratings over weeks of time, okay? So we can see in this particular file, we've got separate sheets for each of the categories, but in another file, if we look at this one here, we've got separate sheets for different weeks. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to import the starter set. So first of all, I've got RStudio open, so I Control-Shift-N to make a new file, and I Control-Save it. And I'm going to save it inside the same folder as my data, but one layer up. Okay, so there we are. We're going to go up, and I'm just going to put a new script. That's my last script. Okay, cool. All right. So now, if I hit dir, it's supposed to tell me all the files inside the folder. You'll notice here that I'm not in the right location. Okay. So if I go session, set working directory to source file location, now these are all the files, files and folders inside the working directory, which is here. So we want this one here. That's where we've kept all our files. So we pass it that, and there we can see all the files in there, and including, because we've currently still got the Excel files open, we got these little tilde $ versions, okay, which we don't want to analyze, because if R tries to import those, it'll break the process. So when we look at this, what I like to do as a first step is to load the tidyverse. So I've got text expander, so when I do that little shortcut, I get this way to start the process, basically. Okay, that's the vector, and I want to pass that into a tibble, which is like a table, and I'm going to call it file path equals dot. So that will put them into just a table, makes it a bit neater, okay? One other thing I want to do is I want to add an argument, which is the full names. So full names equals T, or true if we want to be nice. That's going to expand it. So that means we got the full path, which is probably helpful because we're gonna need that. All right. But the first step is we don't want to have these $ tildes in there. So we're going to filter them out. So I'm going to go filter, string detect. So if we look inside file path, that column, and we find tilde $, then I really don't want those. But I'm going to filter it here to try and get them. Okay, it didn't get them. Why not? Because these are funny little symbols that in regex they represent something. So this fixed function means that it turns it from being regex to being just those characters. And there we go, we got them. Okay, so these are the ones we don't want. So I'm going to put a $ there to exclude them. Okay. Okay, so these are all the files. The next step is we want to know what sheets are in each of the files. So we do a mutate because we're going to make a new column. We're going to call it sheet singular because in a second we'll see. And we need to map across the file path. Okay. So I'll just jump in here and just say this. So mutate new column equals 1. Okay. So there we got a new column equals 1, and we can just do a comma, other col equals 2. Okay. Then we can also do this. We can do other color plus your third col equals the two of them together. Okay. So that's sort of the standard way of making new columns or even changing additional columns. Okay. When this produces a vector which is just a straight vector of numbers, yeah, is a numeric vector. when we're going to do this operation that we're doing now, the result is going to be a list of, for each row, it'll be a list of all the sheets inside the files. So we need to do a different function, okay? And that's map. So I'm just going to comment this out. So we want to work on the file path, and the function we need is it's something called read Excel sheets. But Excel sheets, if we press tab, it's not going to autocomplete, and that's because the package isn't loaded. So we've got really two options. We can do this. We can go Excel, and that gives us the arguments that belong to the read Excel package. There it is. So we can do it like this. We can go .x. When we're using map, we need to add this little tilde before the start of the function, okay? And we can also do it like this. Okay, so that's what we're starting with, which is the value here, and we're passing into this function here. So this will work. Okay. What's something else interesting with the map function as well? If we get just the right position, there's a progress bar, and if we do that, we can see. Oh, we missed it just then. Okay, maybe it's too quick to warrant a progress bar, but if we have a very long process, you can actually use it, and it's really cool. All right, so that's going to work like that. Okay, and conversely, we can also just do library read Excel and just load the library, and then we won't need to include that. Okay, so we want to get all those sheets out, so we want to unnest that column. So that list column, if we unnest it, now we actually get the text of the sheet. Okay, so the next step is to import all the data from all those different sheets. So let's do it. So mutate sheet data equals map. We need two objects now. We need the file path, and we also need the sheet. Okay, there's only map 1 hidden and map 2, and if you want to go beyond that, there's pmap. Okay, I'll come back to this in 1 second. The function we want is to read Excel. So it's what is it? Read Excel. There it is. Okay, so the path we want to give it is the first value .x, and the sheet. Whoops. The sheet we want to pull in is .y, which is the second. Then we just got to remember the tilde, and then let's give it a shot. Okay, it's taking a while. This might be an occasion where we can use our .progress. Okay, let's try that. Yeah, so that's little progress bar is nice. Cool. If we run this, and that took a bit of time, if we wanted to save it, yeah, so we, import of data. If it took a long time, we don't want to bother waiting around. We could run this again, and we'd have to wait the same amount of time, but we can also just do this. Last value. So now it's saved the thing that just printed out there to here. Okay. So that's important data. That's all we need to know. Just before I go, I might show you an alternative way of doing this mapping. Okay, so let's do it. So we want to mutate. We want the file path, yeah? Let's just make some space. Okay, we want to make a new column that contains all the sheets, okay? And we want to use this function for each of the file paths. We can actually do this without having to use map, and that's by grouping in a row-wise method. So let's just clear this for now. We don't need that. So if we type in this row-wise, it's a grouping by row. It doesn't change anything. Okay, I also like to comment out this thing here so I can run it using just Control-Enter. then if we group it by Control A, Control I will align things better. If we run this now, except for that extra thing, this is going to break. Okay, because it's not... it's even telling us what we need to do. So we need to wrap it in a list, because what it's producing is a list. So that worked, just the same as the map did. It's just the map saves us having to have this separate argument, alright? So I'll comment that out, and I'll put this back together again. And yeah, that is how we bring all the data in. Yeah, very neat, very tidy. Let's see how we process the individual sheets in the next videos. Catch ya.